Welcome, everybody, to the NBA show on the Gruely True Sports Network. The NBA show is brought to you by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Go check out Betting.net. Did y'all realize how smoothly I pulled down the mic when I realized that it wasn't down here with me?
Like a true professional.
Whatever. All right. Deshaun Watson needed true professionals. All right. We're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about the NBA Finals tonight. We're going to look back at Game 5. Game 5, I think, what I thought would happen because I just didn't think that it would happen, if that makes any sense. I picked the Celtics, but I also said if Andrew Wiggins plays well, the Warriors win no matter what, because Wiggins is a difference maker here, Dan.
And he absolutely was. If not for his effort in that game, I don't think Golden State wins. He went 12 for 23, 26 points, 13 rebounds, 12 defensive rebounds. Not only did he lead his team, but he led the whole game. And if he keeps doing that, they're going to win. They're going to win tomorrow night.
Yeah, and Steph Curry was not his usual self, Steve, but you had Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, even Draymond Green, who's a bitch, stepped up and played great in this game. So when you look at this, if all these guys play well, there's not much the Celtics can do about it. But the question I have right now is, where's Jason Tatum? Because Jason Tatum has gotten kind of the MO over the last year or two that he disappears for stretches in games. He disappeared again here. What do you think, Steve? Can he play well?
Did he disappear? He scored 27 points in the game. And
how many did he score in the fourth quarter?
I don't have that broken down by quarters, but he also pulled down 10 rebounds and 4 assists. I mean, that's a damn good night by most other players' status. Are we expecting a little too much out of Jason Tatum? I don't have a breakdown of where the points came, what quarter they came in, but I don't think Tatum's playing that bad. It just seems like he's not scoring at the most opportune times. And that's hurting the Celtics definitely. The other exposure we'll talk about, I'm sure if we get on, is I think that the Celtics exposed what could happen if they can shut Curry down. Now, it did not happen this time because Wiggins and Peyton III and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson all stepped up in a huge way. But, this is the first time that Curry doesn't make a three-pointer in a game since 2018, and they exposed a huge weakness there. Now, if they can come back to Boston and up their game a little bit and play the same defense, I watched them guard Curry. I mean, they basically, that guy was wrapped up like a...
and I would like to bring up real quick so people don't think I'm a moron. I meant Jaylen Brown, not Jason Tatum. So I apologize to Jason Tatum, who I know is listening, because I know Bobby Hundt was texting with him earlier. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, Jaylen Brown ended up with 18, so still wasn't a bad night.
No, he was fucking horrible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was minus 19, and he was 5 for 18. The only thing that saved his ass was he got to the free throw line 10 times and made 8 of them.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, even in the victory, I thought was the exposure of what Steph Curry means to this team. I think we all know that. But it was by luck that the other 4 players really elevated their game in a huge way. We had not seen that all the playoffs here by the Warriors. They did an incredibly opportune time to do it. This also bodes into our conversation we had the other day to close the show out as to does Curry belong with Magic and Isaiah? And for this particular reason, no, he does not. And
what?
We're going to get into that. Let's get into
let's get into it right now. I mean, how can you say that? He's played 4 great games. Wait, Steve, let me talk. You said that a great player makes everybody around him better. I would say this. He played 4 outstanding games to keep his team in the series until everybody else caught up to him.
Right.
And the other thing is this, having Steph Curry on the floor opens up things for other teams, even when he's off. So I would say that you also got to throw in 8 assists. So that's another 16. So
that's average. That's average for a good point guard in the NBA.
Is it?
That's an average night.
Okay. So
for a top level point guard, crap, I'll guarantee you that Johnson probably averaged double figures.
You're talking about the greatest point guard that ever lived. And you know what?
Isaiah
Wait a
was probably
second.
right there with
I don't want to
Phil.
hear that shit because I watched Magic Johnson at the start of his career, 1981, Game 3, miniseries against the Houston Rockets in L.A. Magic Johnson, instead of throwing the ball into the post to Kareem, forces a shot that's an air ball. In 1984, Game 2, the double overtime game, they had a chance, I think it was at the end of the first overtime or at the end of regulation. They had a shot for the last shot. Magic Johnson forgot the time on the clock and dribbled the clock out. So those, to me, were much more egregious than Steph Curry having an off night, but his team still won. Am I wrong here, Dan?
Well, I haven't finished yet.
Yeah, you were, because I just said you
No,
were.
are you okay, whatever.
Go ahead, Steve. Jesus, don't whine.
All right, I'm not whining. It just, the thing about what you're talking about is mistakes or Magic made early in his career. Steph's late in his career and still really a one-dimensional player in my book. He did elevate his team, or I don't know if he elevated him. I think the other team just stepped up. Curry's main contribution to a basketball team is scoring points. Neither Magic nor Isaiah's main contributions were scoring points. They were elevating players consistently, doing all the other things on the court, directing the offense, running, controlling the tempo of the game. Curry was basically taken out of this game for all intent and purposes. He didn't set screens. He got 8 assists, but he didn't really get involved in anything. He just kind of stood out there and let somebody stay within 6 inches of him. I didn't even see him working hard to get open like I saw other players in the NBA busting their ass to keep working. Bird would just keep screening, getting screened and screening, keep rubbing you off of people until he finally got open. Then he'd throw it down in your face. I'm just saying this, to end this argument from my point, Curry is a great player. He's going to go down as one of the greatest guards in the history of the game, but he is a notch on the belt below Magic and Isaiah.
They're different kind of players.
That's fine, but when you start just listing, you didn't put different kind of players when you put out your 7 greatest point guards in here. You just listed 7 great guards.
Because all of that comes in.
It was. Define the criteria when you do that kinds of lists.
Oh, yeah.
Put a list like that out.
Well, how about this? Why don't you get your head out of your ass and realize that at the end of his career, the last finals Magic Johnson played in, they got their ass smoked 4-1 by the Bulls. In Game 4, if I remember right, they lost by like 20 points. Magic scored 14 points, and he had 7 assists, Steve.
And he had already retired once, hadn't he?
No, he hadn't. This was 1991 finals. The AIDS thing came in November of 91, and I guarantee you this. 1989, they got swept by the Detroit Pistons, and I guarantee you there's at least one game where he played bad. So I think it is absolutely asinine, because I saw Larry Bird play bad games. I saw Michael Jordan play bad games in the playoffs. But this guy just played 4 outstanding games. He impacts his team. He does make the people around him better. Bobby, go ahead. I don't even have a question. Just talk. I'm frustrated. I don't understand that. Am I wrong here, Bobby? I mean, he had one game with 16 points, 8 assists, and his team won. I can show you Magic Johnson, 14 points, 7 assists. His team lost by 21.
Well, you're definitely right in terms of star players or any player just having bad games. It happens. It doesn't matter what caliber player you are, but obviously we expect greatness out of Steph Curry. Already he's a top 20 player of all time. I just want you guys to be prepared for what we're going to hear if they do win this finals and he does win a finals MVP, because he's going to be vaulting up those lists and we're not going to be happy about it.
Now, it's what we always do. It's called recency bias. It's just like, if this finals goes 7 games and Game 7 goes to overtime, then you're going to see those are the greatest finals of all time. Stephen A. Smith's going to be drooling on himself, having orgasms on air.
Well, I would still put like Magic and Oscar, Jerry West potentially ahead of Curry, but we're going to hear it if this does happen. If they finish it off, he gets the finals MVP, they're going to say, oh, he's got 4 rings, he won a finals MVP. So on
the list I did, I could see him, if he does do that, being like number 6 or 7.
But you're talking point guards, right?
Yeah.
People are going to put him in their like top 15 of all time.
I know, but people, you know what? I know this. Any more in this world, 2 + 2 is whatever you want it to be. So whatever somebody wants to be the greatest is the greatest. You can't argue with people because they'll just hang up on you or they'll unfriend you on Facebook. People are dumbasses. The whole world's stupid anymore, so I don't really care what other people think. I only care what I think and what Steve, Risley, Dan, and Bobby think.
Well, that's fair, and I like it. But I
Not
think
only do they hang up on you, and they also cut you off in the middle of trying to state your point in your case and go.
Oh no!
Now I've been totally cut off. So
Oh, there he is.
Oh, we're just teasing. I had to. You knew it was coming.
corporate move. It's just another corporate move.
That's not a corporate move. That's my move, dog.
Mike is the new suit of our broadcast.
Yeah, I'm in a suit.
Like,
Hey, I do wear sleeves on my shirts all the time now, though. But I only have like 3 shirts that have sleeves on it, so they're the same 3 shirts.
What, corporate come down on you about your?
No, I just stopped doing it because somebody like a year and a half ago said maybe you should wear a shirt with sleeves. So I said, all right. But when we look at this, Andrew Wiggins played like a superstar. What do the Boston Celtics have to do here, Dan, to be able to even this series at 3 tomorrow night?
You know what? I'll narrow it down to 2 things. Stop taking so many damn threes. It's not a 3-point contest. Play basketball. All right, you're going out there. They go 11 of 32. Just disgraceful. The Warriors weren't any better. They were 9 of 40. But I was watching the game, and throughout the first half, easily, definitely the first half, I'm like, every other possession was somebody running up to the 3-point line and shooting a 3 like Mike D'Antoni is their head coach, and they're running the 7-second offense in Phoenix back in the mid-2000s. It was hideous. Stop shooting so many threes. You're not going to beat the Warriors at their game. They've got the best 3-point shooter of all time, arguably, and they have one of the other best shooters of all time in Klay Thompson. So you're not going to beat them at their own game. Stop shooting threes, play the game right, and stop turning the ball over. It was so ugly.
Dude, it's like that when they win. I don't know how they win doing that crap.
18 turnovers is amateur shit. They got to get that together. Stop turning the ball over and stop jacking up threes. You're not playing 2K against your brother in your basement, and it's ugly. And compared to the Warriors, there are only 6 turnovers that whole game. Boston should be ashamed of themselves.
And right now, with that, you can head over to see for yourself. Betting.net makes it easy to find all of the legal online casinos or sportsbooks in your state. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. Make sure you check the description and the link below if you're watching on YouTube for Caesar Sportsbook, which is our top-rated sportsbook for betting on the NBA Finals. All right, so I read all that, so I totally forgot what I was going to say. But this is what I'm going to say. And I said it before, and I say it all the time with the Celtics. Why can't Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown play well at the same time? And I will tell you this. I don't think Jason Tatum was horrible, Steve, in that game, but he was one of the reasons they lost that game. He was 2 of 6 from the free throw line. He turned the ball over 4 times. Brown turned the ball over 5 times, shot 27.8%, and they only lost by, 10 or 12 points. Al Horford and others, I think, did a much better job of peeling off screens and getting the hand in Curry's face. But I also think this. Steph Curry has, and I'll go to Bobby on this, or I'll go to Steve on this. I think that Steph Curry, with guys like Al Horford, all these guys have to worry so much about him, it opens up looks for everybody else. I mean, if you look at Michael Jordan, the biggest shots taken, I mean, he took the one in 98 at the end with a little push-off, hit the shot. But other than that, it was Paxson and Steve Kerr who hit game winners because Jordan drew the double team. They kicked the ball, he kicked the ball, they made the shots. So I think Tatum and Brown have to play well because I think the bench has always played pretty well in Boston. I think Horford's going to play well. But, Steve, my question is this. I had a different question at first, but I've changed my mind. My question is, if Steph Curry was to come out tomorrow night and drop 42 points, 10 assists in Boston and win this series, would that change your mind at all?
Well, first off, let me address Tatum and Brown real quick. I got just really one sentence. It just seems to me your comment about Tatum and Brown not being able to play well together. I think both of those guys are really on a mission to find the I in team, and I think that's what's hurting them playing well and making major contributions all along. They're bound and determined before this tournament over is to find the I in team.
Yeah, they force a lot of stuff. That's why you get all the turnovers.
Curry understands how to spell team, and I just kept watching, and they were shifting players off of Curry, and you're right. He opened everything up for the other guys to play well. the saving grace of the game is they took advantage of that and played well, which they had not done that collectively. They've done it individually, but collectively, all those guys, Klay Thompson, Wiggins, Green, and all of them stepped up around him and pulled the slack up. So is it going to elevate my thought process of Curry? I think Curry's a great ball player. I think he's in the top 20 ball players all time in the NBA. Because he does have 4 rings, and he has led teams where he has been the star, and he has consistently performed at a high level. I just don't think that he's performed as high as Magic and Isaiah did. They played different ways. But I don't know how much more you can elevate Curry's game and move him up any food chain. He's got a lot. You're in the top 20. There's an incredible amount of talented ball players that you've got to pass. And I'm telling you, players who have all done incredibly marvelous things in that league and in that game. So I think he's as high as he needs to be. I don't think he cares about that. I think he wants a 5th ring is what he wants. So,
yeah, which would give him more than Magic and Isaiah, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, I believe it would. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to rip Magic and Isaiah, because I also realize Magic and Isaiah had to deal with Bird. They had to deal with Jordan. They had to be the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers were great back then. The level of competition was much better back then with the top half of the league, I think.
Here's one more statement, Mike, we can make, and I'll shut up here and let everybody address it. The Celtics do as good a job as anybody making themselves beatable.
Yeah, they do, because Tatum and Brown, it almost seems to me like they're waiting. Yeah, and the thing is, once one of them gets hot, it's like the other one just stands back and watches.
Right.
And, I mean, the sad thing here is, Dan, I think that this would have been a 5-game series. The Celtics would have won it if they played more like a team. And Tatum and Brown are that issue. Because Horford, the guys on the bench have all played hard. They've given you what they can give you. But Tatum and Brown have to get this done. So the question is, Dan, is there more pressure on Tatum and Brown, or is there more pressure on Steph?
Oh, all the pressure's on Tatum and Brown.
And now here, real quick, let me add to this question. The thing that I think is amazing about that is before Game 1, all the pressure was on Steph. So Tatum and Brown, as this series has turned and they've fallen behind, that's when they've played the worst. That's when they turned the ball over the worst. So when you look at that, I mean, it's hard to believe the Celtics are going to win this game tomorrow night, because now that pressure's even amplified. You got every bozo on TV or radio, whether it's Stephen A. Smith or, Bobby Hundt, all giving them a bunch of crap. So I think we find out exactly what the Celtics, and especially Tatum and Brown, are made of tomorrow. And I think whoever wins tomorrow night wins Game 7. Well, unless Golden State wins, because the damn series is over. But you know what I mean.
Last game was so ugly for these guys. Brown, 5 of 18, bro? Really? And
I hate when people call me bro, by the way. Go ahead.
Well,
you didn't know, so it's not your problem. So I'll just act like you were talking to Bobby and Steve.
It was to Brown, more to him, because you're going 5 of 18, 0-5 from 3. I mean, 8 of 10 from the free throw line is great, but the Celtics as a team shit the bed there. How are you going to miss 10 free throws? How are you going to go 67% from the line as a team? If they do their job at the charity stripe, they might have come out on top, even with those 18 turnovers. Could have been a totally different game. And I got to give the Celtics some credit, too, because they actually came back in that game. I think they were down by, 17 at one point or something like that? And they battled back. And that takes some cojones in the finals. But Tatum can't disappear in the second half again. He was awful in the second half. Can't happen.
All right, so...
Can I add a comment? Can I just
Sure, go ahead.
All of the pressure tomorrow night is on the Celtics. More so than on the Warriors.
Well, definitely.
The Celtics have a farther distance to travel to get their game elevated enough to beat the Warriors than the Warriors are going to have to travel to beat the Celtics. All the Warriors have to do is to get Curry back. And damn it, if there's one of the four of us that doesn't think Curry's coming back, we're all knucking futz. Because I believe he's going to just blow it out and have an incredible game Thursday night. I'm not sure Tatum and Brown are going to be able to elevate their game at all, and I don't know how strong their coach is to get them to change their philosophy of trying to play to Warriors' game strategy as opposed to their own, which is take the damn ball inside and dominate the game in there, where the Warriors really can't control them or guard them for a full 48 minutes.
Hey, real quick, Steve, I want to remind everybody or tell everybody, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, we are going to have an NFL show where we discuss the Deshaun Watson situation. And at 9 o'clock, there will be Inside Boxing Weekly, which will be back with myself and John Raspani to go ahead and preview this weekend's big light heavyweight championship fight between Arthur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. So make sure you check us out tomorrow night from 8 to 10 for those two shows. And real quick, it's not just sports betting, Steve. Did you know that? Betting.net compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, and play the top online slots, poker, and table games. I know that Dan does that all the time with his mom. They get on betting.net to see where to play all the table games. Go ahead, Steve.
Do they also give you the best odds on which is the best show going on in Vegas right now? I mean, I want to see if anybody's beaten Donnie and Marie yet in terms of the odds on them still having the best show. I've seen Donnie and Marie, and I've seen a lot of the other shows in Vegas. And by far, Donnie and Marie still is number one, even though they've stepped away and retired now.
Well, that's because Engelbert Humperdinck died.
No, he's still alive.
I thought he died.
No, he just did a duet with Lady Gaga.
Who? John Jacob Hammer Smith?
So a dead man did
Oh,
a with Lady Gaga.
Engelbert Humperdinck. You've never heard of Engelbert Humperdinck, Dan?
You've never heard of?
Jabroni Pumpernickel?
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
That was Wayne Newton.
I was gonna say, isn't that
Engelbert
isn't that
Humperdinck?
Are you sure?
Wayne Newton was Dankeschön, darling, Dankeschön.
Is that German?
Lip synced and mimicked by, yeah, look it up, Mike.
I am.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone was Engelbert Humperdinck. In the late 60s or early 70s.
I would like to let everybody know, too, that was worried. I'm sorry, but he's still alive. I'm not sorry that he's still alive, but I'm sorry I said he was dead.
I called
Knocking
that.
guys off.
He's still performing. He's still touring.
Oh, if it wouldn't get us in trouble, I would play a song, but I'm not going to. My mom's favorite singer back in the 70s was Engelbert Humperdinck.
Like, actually, under copyright
We used to
law,
listen to the albums.
You can play less than, I think, 15 seconds of the song and not be penalized.
But then they'll still tag it because they always bust my balls for some reason. All right,
Okay.
last topic.
Well, that's
Bobby.
what we have corporate for. They'll bust corporate's balls now.
Bobby, why do the ratings suck on the NBA Finals?
Well, I think a lot of people have been turned off in the last 2 years for a number of reasons. Obviously the pandemic affected all sports. I think ratings went down across all of them. Obviously people don't like, in certain segments, people don't like how outspoken a lot of the NBA players are about a lot of social justice issues or various issues throughout the world, the country, etc. So that's turned some people off. But it is surprising because we do have a sexy finals matchup. A historic franchise like the Boston Celtics will have the most championships among the Lakers. Golden State Warriors, a recent dynasty. Steph Curry.
Well, and Golden State historically won it all in 1975. They had Rick Barry. They pulled maybe the greatest upset in finals history when they swept the Washington Bullets. The Boston Celtics, outside of the LA Lakers, is the Lakers and the Celtics. You've got a historically great franchise, probably to me, historically the greatest franchise in NBA history, against a dynasty right now. And you can't draw flies. I mean, they get 11 million. I think it was 13 million the last game. But they're averaging about 11.5 million. And before the pandemic, I don't really count 2020 because I don't think anybody seriously considers the Lakers champions. It was a joke. But if you look at 2019, 2018, 2017, the games were 18, 19, 20 million people. They've lost almost half of their audience. And you would think this is not like it's the Miami Heat against the Golden State Warriors. This is the Boston Celtics. And I think that I don't care if you voice your opinion. I don't even care if I agree with you or not. But I really don't care what an athlete or an actor or a singer thinks about politics. I watch the game to get away from that crap. And I think the NBA doesn't understand that no matter which way you go on a side, you alienate 50% of your audience.
Well, one thing I just want to add too is that LeBron's not in these finals. As much as he's a lightning rod controversy and whatnot, and Curry's still a big star.
He was in them 2 years ago, and they averaged 9 million, Bobby.
Yeah, but like we were saying, we're discounting 2020. A lot of people had so many things going on. People weren't.
Not really. You had to stay in your house.
Yeah, but ratings were down across the board, across all sports. It wasn't just the NBA.
Yeah, but the ratings are down across the board on all sports except the NFL, and it's all because of what you just said.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it, but I just think there would be more eyeballs if LeBron was involved because he is such a global superstar.
How about this? I will say I believe that the lowest rated NBA Finals of all time had LeBron in it. Yeah, that 2007 Cleveland and San Antonio. And it's not like the highest rated finals of all time was. LeBron is not Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, or Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but that was
because
LeBron. He was great on his ascension then. If you told me 2012, I would be like, wow, that makes no sense. But yeah, 2007, I mean, it was an inferior Cavs team. It was a sweep. I mean, he wasn't at the apex of his superstardom yet. It was like, say Jordan when he lost in the mid-80s.
Hey, hold on, Bob. You put some respect on Zajunas Ilgauskas, all right? Don't you talk about that team like that.
Yeah, Anderson Varejao, that team.
That's right, Anderson Varejao with his big Brazilian afro.
Look, yeah, Mike, let me play off of Bobby a little bit. I think LeBron is a manufactured superstar. I think that he's manufactured by the NBA to replace Jordan. He's a great player, no doubt. He's gifted. He's talented. He's manufactured by the NBA and protected by the referees. And
yeah, but Jordan,
I think he's a manufactured superstar.
Jordan Bird, all the superstars have been protected by the referees.
Well, not to the degree that I see LeBron being protected. It's different for LeBron.
I don't know. Jordan was pretty damn protected, especially in the 90s.
He earned that right by the time he got that protection. I mean,
I don't think you ever earn that right. I think if you're going to have a fair product, you never earn that right.
The NFL protects its stars, and it's annoying as hell.
Yes, it is. I mean, they protect their stars in every sport. I mean, if you look, Michael Jordan against the Utah Jazz, which is a really small market, you had a rating of 18.7, which was 30 million viewers. I mean, Bird and Magic, 30 million viewers. 1988, Magic against the Pistons, 30 million viewers. And I know people can say that this is, there's a lot more stuff for people to do. But 2017 finals, 21 million viewers. I mean, that's a lot of viewership to lose for a championship series because when you look at 1986 with Houston and Boston, Houston was not a big-time franchise, but you still had it there. I mean, the 3 lowest rated games of all time were 2020, Game 1, Game 2, Game 3. The highest rated game was 98, Game 6. All these are Jordan, Bird, and Magic games. I just don't think the league markets itself as well as they did back in the day either, because back in the day, it was just about the basketball.
Well, Mike, let me ask you this question. Everybody address it. How much is the China factor, the perceived China connection to the NBA? How much is that a factor in this where people turned off by it, like, oh, they're in China's back pocket. I don't care to watch it.
I don't think I think China has a little bit to do with it, but you also have Black Lives Matter, which we all know it does, but a lot of people don't agree with the organization.
The shirts are over the top.
This is the thing, Steve. All right, I don't want to be ESPN, so we're not going to give our political views. I'm just telling you this. Everything they do, half the people agree with, half the people disagree with. That kills your ratings. It's just like we've had articles before sent in to post on the Grueling Truth, but they were political, so we leave them alone because we don't want to be like that. And I'll tell you, 2019, the ratings were terrible also. 2018, they were good. You had but they were really good. But no way. 2019, yeah, Toronto against Golden State, you had an average of 16 million people watching every game, 17 million people. I mean, the San Antonio Spurs and the Miami Heat, which was a 4-1 series, averaged 16, 17 million people. When you look down here, this went decades where they went 16, or almost 2 decades, where after the Michael, Larry, Magic era, where every NBA Finals was averaged right around 15 to 18 million, and it didn't matter who played. I mean, the Orlando Magic and the LA Lakers, hell, that averaged 14, 15 million, and that was a wipeout series. So, I mean, this all comes down to that. And I think when these sports leagues realize maybe they should just be quiet and play, and that's not to be mean. It's just, I mean, hell, I don't even want to hear politicians talk about politics.
I think it's better to compare what's going on now to maybe, 7, 8 years ago. I mean, you talk about...
Yeah, but 7, 8 years ago, it was 17, 18 million on average.
All right, Mike, one other thing. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dan, then I'll go ahead.
Just with, like, the 80s and 90s, I mean, you couldn't DVR games or watch it on your mobile phone or all.
You could videotape it.
Yeah, true, but how many people really did that?
I did. I've got every NBA Finals game from 1978 to now on a videotaped. It was transferred to DVD. Not till now, from 1978 to 2000.
Yeah, I used to VHS record games too, but I'm just saying it's totally different now. It's not appointment viewing. People, not only that factor of DVRing it, watching it later, but just all these different streaming services. I wonder.
But Bobby, I'll still bring up the fact that over 100 million people still watch the Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a one-time event. It's a one-game, one-time event. Bobby, you kind of mentioned it, and it's true. 7 or 8 years ago, they did not have the competition for your television eyes that they're out there now. With all the streaming services and everything that's out
7 or 8 years ago, I was still on streaming services.
There were no streaming services.
I don't think that.
Oh, there were. Netflix has been around longer than 7 years, hasn't it?
The only one. There was no HBO Max, no Paramount Plus, no Disney Plus.
Yeah, but this is the thing. We're talking. I guarantee you this: if you put all of those factors in 1984 or 1988, Game 7, 30 million people are still watching that game, Steve.
Yeah, and you got legends playing the game. There are no legends playing in this tournament.
Well, Steph Curry is.
Curry's the closest one to a legend.
Dude, you just said he was a top 20 player all time. I don't know how that's not a legend.
It's a whole different category to say you're the legends and you're the top 50 players.
Well, I think if you're a top 50 player, you're a legend, unless you're Scottie Pippen.
Gabe Worthy's the legend in the NBA. He's a top 50 player.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Anybody that's nicknamed Big Game James and played all their big games in games 5, 6, and 7 of the NBA Finals, I think James Worthy is pretty damn good.
That's for damn sure.
It was in college. You had Isaiah Thomas. He had Sam Perkins, who was not a point guard. You had Bobby Knight. He had Dean Smith, who was a drilling moron.
Still came down to sweating on the court and blocking people out. And
I'm Dean Smith. I'm Dean Smith. I can only win one championship with Michael Jordan, and I held him to 14 points a game.
The other thing too, Mike, is I do believe, and I'm 95% sure on this. When you DVR and videotape a game, it does not count on their numbers to say number of viewers watch this game.
I think it does now, yes. But for what I saw, it says for streaming platforms, all that, because they can actually count that now.
Well, streaming platforms they can, because you're watching.
They can count it on DVR too, because you recorded it and it goes through. That's what I read the other day, because that's what I thought too when I was looking into it, because I thought maybe that's where your 5 or 6 million went. But they also do this. They also wait a second. They also count. I do too, but they also count bars that show the game. And the thing is this, you know yourself, if you've ever been to a bar to watch an NBA Finals game, half the people there aren't even watching the game.
Hell yeah, that's definitely
true.
Especially if it's Dan, because he's got his mom there and guys are hitting on her and he's trying to fight them off. I mean, that's what a normal son would do, right?
That's right.
God, I hope you're not trying to fight anybody but women off there, Dan, because that didn't look good. All right, so we look at Game 6 tomorrow night. Golden State at Boston. Who you picking, Steve?
Well, looking at this game, I think that basically looking at the two teams, I'll try not to make this long. Golden State has one thing to do, and there are two things to do. Maintain the quality of play of the other 4 players and have Steph reestablish himself and elevate his game and get off the schneid on his three-pointers. That's all they've got to do. Boston's got a multitude of other things that they've got to do. They've got to give up that outside game. They've got to get physical inside. They've got to find a way to engage Brown and Tatum. There's more. That's why I said there's more pressure on Boston. They are playing at home. but I don't think that's affected Boston to any great degree. And they've lost games at home as easy as they've lost games on the road. So, although I'm going to go on a limb and say I think Golden State closes it out tomorrow night. I think Curry raises his game and has an epic night, as a great player would do. Worthy of being listed as one of the top 3 or 4 point guards of all time. I think he does that, and I just don't think Boston's got anything for him. So I will take Golden State.
All right, Bobby.
All right, so I have a few things I want to address in this little spiel before I get to my pick. But basically, just going back to talking about Tatum and Brown, that's kind of what people were talking about as the season went on and they were struggling. Is do they play well with each other? There were even rumors that maybe they're looking to trade Jaylen Brown. So it is definitely true that at times they don't really complement each other perfectly. They're obviously a very talented duo. It can work, I think. They've obviously gotten to a finals. But it's about what's going to be that third piece going forward. They can still win this finals. I don't see it happening, though, personally. Also, I think they need to play big. They do have that size advantage. It's tougher in today's NBA. Obviously, the Warriors can spread them out, make defenders like Kevon Looney and Al Horford come out to the three-point line, which they don't want to do. But you look at Game 3, that's the Celtics blueprint. The crowd jacked them up. I'm sure they're going to be crazy, excited tomorrow night. They need the crowd behind them, and they pounded the Warriors on the glass in Game 3. They doubled them up in points in the paint. I think even second chance points. Like, that's the way they need to attack the basket, whether it's Tatum, Brown, Smart, whoever, and then kick it out for those wide open threes they were getting in that game. Game 5, they shot awful from free throw. That was terrible. And then, yes, Tatum does need to step up. I do think he needs to put them on his back, go for 30. But the games that they've won, either Al Horford or Derek White actually stepped up and had, not huge games, but they made an impact. They made a big block. They made a big 3. They did something to affect the game. So they not only need Tatum to be big, they need one of those two guys, I think, to do something else. We know what we're going to get out of Brown and Smart. They've been actually pretty consistent. I mean, you'd like a little more than from Brown, but, that's what the Celtics are going to do. Going to need to do, really, to win. Now, with that said, I mentioned in the last podcast, Game 6 play is looming. He has some tremendous performances in his playoff history in Game 6. I think against the Grizzlies was the game he went off this postseason. He had a game against the Rockets a few years ago. He just went off. I expect him to have a big game, and I think the Warriors do close it out. I'm going to stay with my prediction. Me and Steve had Warriors in 6, so I think the Warriors win tomorrow night.
All right, Dan, do you agree with your significant other?
I do not agree with my lesser half. I am going to go with Boston. Part of it is because I did pick this series to go to 7. I did pick Golden State to win in 7. So I'm going to stick with that prediction. Both of them predicted Golden State in 6. So for them, that makes sense that they both win Golden State. But I'm going to go with Boston in this one. And I think Boston comes out like their asses on fire. They Bob's definitely onto something there. Derek White, even though he's, not as important as Tatum or Brown or Smart, Derek White does play a very valuable role on this team. He played 21 minutes and he had 1 point, and he got that at the free throw line. None of the Celtics really shot well that game, but he's got to be better. Him and Horford got to be better together if this team's going to have a shot. We're all eyes are on Tatum, and then rightfully so, because he is Boston's best player, and we expect great things from Brown as well. But the role players, like Mike, you were saying earlier, the role players for Golden State are doing their thing. The secondary guys are stepping up. Boston needs their secondary guys to step up as well. And for God's sake, stop playing Grant Williams. He's so bad. He was minus 18 in this last game. He has been so bad. Just stop it.
All right. I picked the Warriors at 7, I believe, when this started. Or
No,
the
you
Celtics
picked,
at 7.
yeah,
Celtics
you
at
picked
7.
Boston at 7.
I'm going to stick with it. I believe this also. I believe in the history of Grant Williams, most of his good games are at home. And I also believe in the history of the NBA. Most teams' benches perform much better at home than they do on the road. I think Tatum and Brown's backs up against the wall. My only worry here is you've got to get through 2 games without Steph Curry going off and Wiggins having a good game at the same time, because Curry can go off. You can give Curry his points. I mean, Curry can score 45 points and you can still win this game as long as you don't let these other guys go off like that. So, I mean, you got to pay attention to him. But like I said, I don't think he wins the game by himself. The games we've seen him win, he's played really well, but there's only been 1 or 2 guys there. You just can't afford to have 2 or 3 guys, 4 guys go off, because then Steph doesn't have to work as hard. So my concern here, if I'm a Celtic fan, is, Steph, the game stays close. Steph doesn't have to work that hard because the other guys are playing well, and then Steph can kind of take the game over at the end. Draymond Green could be a huge factor. As Bobby pointed out, Game 6s, he's been great in the past. I think Marcus Smart's been not very good the last few games. I think Marcus Smart is a huge key. They need a guy like Grant Williams or one of the other bench guys to step up. And I think Al Horford's huge. And I think Horford shoots the ball. I haven't seen the stats to prove this, but I think he shoots the ball much better at home than he does on the road. So I'm going to go with the Celtics to win tomorrow night in 19 overtimes, 462 to 460.
I'd love that. I actually would sign up for that. That would be amazing.
I would, because I got to bet at like 10. I mean, why did they start the damn games at 9 o'clock at night too?
Well, I've talked about this with Dan.
Is that just like the West Coast jerks that ruin it for everybody?
Hey, let me tell you something. As much of a pain in the ass it is for you to see it at 9 o'clock, it's a pain in the ass to start a game at 6 o'clock out here, too.
I bet you have a rough time, Steve.
Well, no, I don't. Because
I know, I'm kidding. You're talking about the traffic.
The traffic and people trying to get home in time to watch the damn game. It's tough all the way around.
Yeah, but the problem is this. The majority of the country is in East Coast time or Central time. And the problem with that is I think you lose a lot of fans. You lose some fans because kids may not be able to watch it, even though there's no school. I don't know. Hell. I mean, 1984, those finals started at 9 too. So I definitely think baseball should start World Series games at 7 or 8 o'clock, no matter where they're played at, because the games go for all over. And I agree with Joseph. Joseph Michael says yes, but Steve, the West Coast, doesn't matter. So, I mean, I think Bobby and Dan agree with me there. So it's like 3-1. But, all right, so we've got 2 Celtics, 2 Warriors.
You're not getting an argument out of me on that. I'm a transplanted person.
I knew I wouldn't.
That's back in Indiana.
That's why I didn't pause for you to do that. So I figured that. We've tried to make fun of you before for that. But, hey, remember this. If you're going to bet the game, Caesars Sportsbook is our top-rated sportsbook. You can find them in a link description below in the video if you're watching this on YouTube. Betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. So if you're Steve Risley and you want to learn how to bet or figure out how to bet, Betting.net will teach you how to bet. Betting.net will tell you the best place to bet or what places are legal to bet in the state you live in. And also, Dan, have you ever heard of social casinos?
Social casinos? What's that?
Jeez, that wasn't even planned, and you made it look like it was planned.
I'm good at what I do. What can I say?
But that's not good at what you do. You should have told me what a social casino was.
Why don't you tell us, Mike?
I just wanted to know if you knew what it was. But I mean, social casinos are cool as hell. Go to like Fortune Coins. Check out Fortune Coins. You can go on YouTube and check out our social casino videos. We've also got them on thegruelingtruth.com. I know Steve would love playing social casinos. I think one of them even has bingo. He's getting up there in age. I don't think they have bingo, but I just wanted to make fun of Steve. Steve, you got a horseshoe on your shirt?
Yeah, I know.
Did a little tiny miniature horse step on you today?
No.
Where's the Risley jersey?
It'll come out game day. It's a game day thing.
All right.
Not an everyday thing.
I like it.
Remember, guys, tomorrow night, NFL show, you got to break it out tomorrow night. NFL show, 8 o'clock. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson and why he's even still playing. And the player on the football field right now with everything that's come out in the last week or two on top of everything that came out a year ago. And at 9 o'clock, we'll have a preview with myself and John Raspani from Max Boxing, who also has written 3 boxing books over the last 4 years that are all excellent. Check us out as we preview the light heavyweight championship fight between Arthur Beater BF and Joe Smith. And if you guys don't watch boxing, watch ESPN Saturday night because Joe Smith and Arthur Beater BF will be an absolute war. So check that out. Do we have any final comments, Bobby?
Joe Smith, that was, number one pick 1994, right?
No. Joe Smith Jr., he's a boxer. It's much more important than a basketball player. All right, Dan, any final comments? You wasted your final comment on that, Bob. Go ahead, Danny.
Let's go Warriors.
All right, Steve, anything? Sing it, Steve. Sing it to Joe.
It's not unusual to have fun with anyone.
You know what? I bet Dan and Bobby danced to this at the prom together.
Well, absolutely.
Very sensual.
While Dan's mom took pictures and fed him meatloaf.
I love meatloaf.
Ah, meatloaf!
The meatloaf! We want
Bobby.
it now!
Bobby, don't you ever do that again. You guys are like in adjoining rooms, aren't you? You can tell. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Remember, tomorrow night, the NFL show at 8 o'clock. We'll talk to Sean Watson at 9 o'clock. Arthur Beater BF, Joe Smith Jr. preview of myself and John Raspani. Check out betting.net. Go like us on Facebook. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. But for now, for Bobby Hundt, Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends